Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So with the current attention that the Stinger Hive, the Cam Launcher, Riot Foam, the Firefly Blind have gotten, I guess a question that will probably be on the minds of a lot of people is, will skills still be viable to use? This is a good question, and the answer is yes. Even though the more popular ones are taking a hit, I think it shows something more than anything. It shows that Massive's data collection is not based on playing the game. I think their data collection is actually based on, just looking at what players are using the most. The thing is, the top percentage players will always accomplish the goal of beating content easier than the general player base. And I fault them for constantly wanting to make changes based on how the top player base actually plays the game. There's nothing wrong with the top players playing the game a specific way. If anything, it gives everybody kind of a roadmap on how to beat the content if they just kind of look that direction. It's not like, oh, people can't figure it out. People will figure it out, but why not kind of let somebody who has more time, who has more investment in the game, kind of knock out the content so that you can kind of say, okay, it's always a good thing to learn. There's no one who's above learning. And even if you look right now, I just looked recently, Solid FPS just did a 27-minute run of District Union Arena solo by himself. Okay? And so not everyone's going to be able to accomplish that. In fact, the last set of challenges I saw anybody doing that with on Legendary was in the hour mark. Somebody did it in a space of almost 3 hours. Somebody did it in a space of almost 2 hours. And he just breezed right through it. Solid FPS is a professional gamer. I cannot compare his own gamer abilities with everybody else. So that's why we're always going to see that. Even if they try to nerf these things to make them fall in line with whatever content they're bringing, people will still find ways to overcome them. And another thing that I've also said too is when you're playing missions or legendary mode, enemy NPCs are coming from specific spawn points. You have trap areas, you have, funnel points. These are things that help you learn mastery of the missions. So it's only natural that people will keep beating them in faster, times. If they want to keep the challenges, if they want to keep these things challenging, they have to, implement random spawn points. But that's not necessarily our conversation today. My goal is to show you other aspects of skills that you can start investing in now, before the patch rolls around. Because even though I've made my videos and provided possible solutions, this studio is a stiff-necked studio and they hardly listen. So I'm almost always prepared for them 100% because I've learned their way of doing things from the Division 1. I don't agree with it, but I've learned. Now, I don't necessarily use the shock trap. I just think it's really wonky, in my opinion. Now, for those people who use the BTSU gloves who want to destroy it, they've also given the BTSU glove another restriction where, everyone has got to be skill tier 6 for them to be able to achieve, overcharge, which is just absolutely bizarre for what it's supposed to be. Why even have it instead of you could just use the Acosta backpack and you get a very good return? So the BTSU glove just is probably going to get a further slap into the ground. But if you look at the artillery turret, the reason I think they're not going to touch the artillery turret, even though they've somewhat stealth nerfed it by removing the send off, is because it's a little wonky to use. Like, you got to really be good at kind of targeting, anticipating, but at the same time, like I said, for those of you who already play these missions and know the spawn points, know the spawn locations, know the enemy types that are going to be coming out of what doors, possibly or potentially, this is still going to serve your need to do some really decent damage. Now, the downside is it may not be in your playstyle. I've seen people say, if I see somebody in my group with this, I automatically kick them. Why would you do that? It's not like, the person is not proficient with it, or you've not even waited for them to be proficient with it. Why worry about, how they're going to use it when you've not seen how they're using it? It's a very good and solid, in my opinion, addition to your team. The amount of damage that can come out of it is not only individual damage, there's the AoE that goes with it. They can drop this an ordnance in somewhere and it would take out 4 to 5 enemy NPCs, in fact dealing much more DPS than a player that's using maybe an M1A build or even a sniper build. Very, very solid and very good. And I'm confident that they're not going to touch it because it is quite challenging to use. I think that's what it is. And that rate of it being challenging to use, a lot of players do not easily gravitate towards it. So they don't have the data to actually see that it's a viable option for a lot of people. I think what they've seen in their data collection is Chem Launcher, Riot Foam, Firefly Blind, Seeker Mine are the ones that are being used by a lot of people. Another good alternative is the Oxidizer. And the Oxidizer is something that a lot of people have said is kind of clunky and all that. But I have a feeling that a video that I made months ago, which I just checked one day, it got like, oh, it has over 100,000 views. I'm like, where'd that come from? Is a video that I said this is actually going to make your legendary runs more easy. And that's because when I was playing a legendary with a group of people, and a young man there, Burnt, he made a very strong Oxidizer build that was able to rip through a lot of things. Now, a lot of people came and said, the flamethrower, the fire starter is actually better, and some people said the Riot Foam is better. Some people said the blind was better. But now that now the Riot Foam and blind is actually going to be taking a hit, I have a feeling more people are going to be coming to the Oxidizer. And now even better is the Oxidizer is not even a status effect. It's a skill damage, skill mod. And so people are going to be trying this out. And they're going to be trying it out because they're probably going to want to see how much it does. But the truth is, it actually does a lot of damage. And that damage is basically much more applicable for skill proxies and for more stationary devices. So maybe, enemy NPC drops a support station, or maybe an enemy NPC has a skill proxy. This is going to work very well. Now, we're going against the True Sons. And the True Sons do have a lot of machinery as well. Not crazy like the Black Tusk in the next raid. I can see this being a useful tool in that context. Now, no one has played this, so-called raid, so we really don't know. And as much as the developers want to implement more gun damage and have given us a so-called gun damage buff, I am suspicious that skills will be very important and will require for teams to play differently. Like if you're going to have a guy using bleed or using chem launcher, they're going to have their act together using everything that they want. So this is something that would definitely come in that I feel might come in handy for people who want to explore it, or something that I feel might come in, as a necessity because the raid is demanding of something like that. Then I think another aspect of skills that I would recommend is using Hardwired rather than jumping in for the new, I think it's Eclipse Protocol that's supposed to help with status effects. I think Hardwired will provide you a good buffer against whatever nerf that they want to make to the skills, because Hardwired is going to provide you that more instantaneous cooldown to allow for your skills to come back much more easily. So this is where I think there's slightly a middle ground, and Eclipse Protocol and a Val Mask will be off meta on release. So one of those things where they release something new and it's almost dead on arrival in a sense, not in totality, but in a sense. So these 3 or 4, whatever it is I've shown you in this video, will provide a strong alternative. So before the patch rolls around, my recommendation is that you go and find some of the best possible pieces of hardware that you can get your hands on, because every single stat that you are missing out on will count. I was able to run my hardwired non-min-max, but now I'm going to be going full on, trying to maximize every single piece that I have going into my stash. I know I've been getting a lot the last few weeks I had played. More consistently, I had a bunch that I had to kind of keep in my stash because it was just, hardwired everywhere. And I was like, man, I don't need hardwired, but I'm going to be doing some work farming for those and getting my gear sets in order so that I am competitive when the new raid comes out and when we start to farm for new exotics and all that stuff. So that's basically my, my thoughts on all of this. Thank you for watching the video. I appreciate you guys so much. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. If you know any alternatives, list them as well so people can start preparing for, TU10. And I guess that's it for me. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.